CBS News has confirmed that the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, has joined the investigation into the sudden death of Hayden Panettiere, who would have turned 37 tomorrow.
The death of a beloved actress can send shockwaves through the entertainment world, especially when new details raise even more questions. Recent reports surrounding Hayden Panettiere have sparked concern and speculation about what may have happened. Her life was marked by both remarkable success and deeply personal struggles, making the story even more complex. As fans search for answers, the circumstances behind the headlines continue to draw attention, revealing a far more complicated picture than the public ever saw. Autopsy report findings. The recent completion of Hayden Panettiere's autopsy report has brought to light unsettling information, sparking shock and sorrow among fans and the public alike. While the full medical details have not been exhaustively disclosed, the coroner's office confirmed the report was finalized after thorough examination. The autopsy sheds light on the physical condition of the actress at the time of her passing, offering clues that deepen the understanding of her final moments. Official statements from the coroner's office noted several concerning findings, though the exact cause of death will be part of a broader investigative process. The report highlights several physiological factors observed during the examination, some of which were unexpected, given her young age and public image. These findings have prompted ongoing discussions about the hidden struggles Panettiere may have faced privately. In addition to physical health, toxicology tests were conducted to ascertain if substances played a role in her death. While specifics remain guarded for privacy and legal reasons, the presence or absence of certain substances is being weighed carefully to determine their potential impact. Medical professionals stress that such reports often reveal complexities that go beyond singular causes. The autopsy also confirms that Panettiere's death was sudden, placing urgency on piecing together the events leading up to that moment. Though the report does not immediately answer all questions, it sets the stage for a deeper investigation into contributing factors. Family and officials are awaiting final conclusions that will help bring clarity to what has been a heartbreaking mystery. Some aspects of the report may remain sealed or only partially released to respect the sensitivity of the case and the family's privacy. This leaves room for speculation, but responsible coverage focuses on verified facts to honor Panettiere's memory. As authorities continue their review, the public is urged to approach the situation with empathy and understanding. These disturbing details remind us that even those who appear vibrant and successful can face unseen battles. The autopsy report serves as a clinical window into a complex situation that demands both scientific and human consideration. It challenges simplistic narratives and pushes for a more nuanced perspective on loss and tragedy. The medical findings also draw attention to the broader conversation about mental and physical health challenges often hidden from public view. Hayden Panettiere's case highlights the importance of awareness and compassion, especially when outward appearances may mask internal struggles. The report's revelations underscore this urgent need. Though the autopsy opens a door into what happened, it does not complete the story. The nuances behind the findings, the interplay of physical and emotional factors, and the unfolding investigation will provide further insight. Viewers are invited to stay with the narrative as more details emerge, shaping a fuller picture of Panettiere's life and untimely death. Amidst these revelations, the human side of this tragedy invites us to pause and reflect on the fragility beneath fame's bright surface. Understanding what the autopsy uncovered is just the beginning of honoring her memory with truth and care. The circumstances surrounding this heartbreaking event provide a crucial next step in understanding the full context. Circumstances of death. Hayden Panettiere was found unresponsive by family members in her Nashville home, and it was one of those moments that just broke the people closest to her. And it also sent big shockwaves through the entertainment world. In the beginning, the circumstances around it looked like a sudden type of tragedy, so everyone kept asking for answers in the hours after, and then again, days later. When the first responders arrived, that was basically when the official inquiry began, focused on the conditions tied to her passing. Reports from police and local sources say Panettiere was on a video call with her fiancé when she was discovered. That small yet intense detail like a quiet snapshot in real time, highlights how immediate everything was and how near the people around her were. The investigation continues, and it seems careful about protecting privacy while still working to clarify what actually happened at the scene. Emergency responders tried to carry out life-saving steps, but because the situation was so severe, it just wasn't possible to get her back. Officials decided that the death was sudden and not expected, so they moved forward with the usual steps, like an autopsy and toxicology checks, to figure out what really set things in motion. The whole point of doing it this way is so that nothing gets missed, not even small details that seem minor. More than a few sources say Panettiere had health-related hurdles before, and that could very well have made her more exposed during that last critical moment. There are mentions of her mental health, along with earlier hospital stays, and those pieces help sketch the bigger background around what was going on. Still, the precise sequence of events and the pressures she was dealing with right before she died are being looked at and rechecked with care. Friends and family describe her as someone who was working through complicated personal battles, moving between public wins and private suffering. That kind of reality makes everything harder to pin down, because what we see up front can hide a deeper struggle. The setting at her home shows that painful mix of love and tragedy, all tangled together. Law enforcement and medical examiners keep treating the scene as a key piece in trying to reconstruct those last hours. They aim to honor the truth with real accuracy and respect, even when it's difficult. What they find there will shape official conclusions and also any next steps. This careful way of doing things is especially essential because the case is high profile. People are watching closely. Meanwhile, public words from loved ones have shown shock and grief, but also a kind of gratitude for the support that's been pouring in from everywhere around the world. Those reactions point to how heavy the emotional toll really is and how mourning becomes communal, not just private. The tragedy seemed to echo far beyond Hollywood's borders, like it traveled farther than anyone expected. Getting a sense of the conditions at the time of death gives us a necessary window that helps explain what could have contributed to such a tragic outcome. Not all at once, but over time. Those circumstances feel intertwined with Panettiere's earlier experiences, the hurdles she faced, and continuing health concerns. As we look deeper into those lifelong struggles, a clearer image emerges of the complexities that shaped this story. Mental health history. Hayden Panettiere's battle with mental health challenges was a private struggle made more public over the years through occasional disclosures and media reports. She openly discussed her diagnosis of bipolar disorder, shedding light on her efforts to manage the condition amid a demanding career and personal life. This transparency brought attention to the realities many face, but few openly share. Throughout her life, Panettiere had periods of hospitalization related to her mental health, signaling the severity and persistence of her condition. These episodes illustrated not only the difficulties she endured, but her attempts at seeking help and stabilization. Sources note that she was actively engaged in treatment and committed to recovery, though the road was often difficult. The pressures of fame and career obligations placed additional weight on her mental well-being. Navigating intense public scrutiny while confronting inner turmoil proved particularly challenging. This dual burden is a familiar story for many in the entertainment industry and beyond. Close friends and family have spoken about her resilience, compassion, and determination, even as they witnessed the toll her mental health struggles took. Their insights reveal a multidimensional person far beyond headlines, emphasizing her humanity and strength in vulnerability. Experts highlight that bipolar disorder can involve unpredictable mood swings and heightened risks, particularly when combined with external stressors. Understanding these clinical aspects is key to appreciating the gravity of Panettiere's experiences without judgment. Such conditions require ongoing care, community support, and a stable environment, all critical factors in managing mental health. Her openness about integrating mindfulness and therapy into her life represented a broader effort to reduce stigma and encourage others facing similar challenges. She became part of a larger conversation on mental illness awareness, demonstrating courage even at moments of personal struggle. At times, the nature of her symptoms may have exacerbated existing vulnerabilities, complicating her ability to maintain balance. Reports suggest that episodes of depression and anxiety were part of her ongoing battle, highlighting the unpredictable and persistent nature of mental illness. Yet despite these difficulties, Panettiere remained a devoted mother, friend, and artist. Her story reminds us that mental health challenges do not erase the person, but add layers that deserve understanding and compassion. These layers are essential to grasp fully when reflecting on the tragic outcome. The impact of mental health on her life cannot be separated from the other factors surrounding her death, all of which must be considered together to honor her truth. As we begin to examine other possible influences, the conversation expands into areas that intersect with her medical history and personal hardship. Substance use factors. The autopsy and toxicology reports are kind of crucial for making sense of any underlying factors that might have played into Hayden Panettiere's death. Official sources say tests were done to look for substances in her system, but the exact results really aren't being shared in full for privacy reasons and because the investigation is still ongoing. Still, it's pretty clear that these documents can end up being really important for authorities when they're figuring out contributing causes beyond the obvious immediate medical situation. Experts also point out that finding substances alone doesn't mean causation. You know it has to be weighed against the whole picture, like medical history, mental health, and what was going on around her at the time. With Panettiere, the known struggles and earlier hospitalizations make it even more necessary to do a careful analysis before anyone jumps to conclusions. Cases like this are complicated, so specialists have to balance several elements, not just one piece, before they land on a final assessment. Speculation about substance involvement has been hanging around in public conversation since word of her passing first came out. Still, law enforcement and official representatives have been pretty clear about being careful and reminding everyone that whatever is found has to pass through due process. Jumping to conclusions too soon can end up putting a shadow over the person behind the headlines, and it can also bring extra hurt to the people who loved her. Some reports have suggested that Panettiere went through treatment for several health concerns during her life, and a few of those apparently included medications that could affect toxicology findings. The type and dose of prescribed substances, including those used for mental health support, are routine things that examiners consider in this kind of work. Medical reviewers have to sort out what looks therapeutic versus what might be dangerous, and it's not always as simple as it sounds. It's also worth remembering that seeing any substances in the results does not automatically wipe out the bigger picture of Panettiere's mental health and emotional turmoil. Substance misuse or addiction often travels alongside mental health struggles, but you really cannot treat them as standalone reasons without looking at the full personal context. Professionals tend to stress how careful and delicate the balance is in those assessments, because one wrong assumption can skew everything. Family members and close friends haven't really made any public mention of recent substance use concerns, which makes it harder to keep telling simple stories. What they say instead often centers on Panettiere's attempts at getting back on track and regaining steadiness, even though the road is still rough. So, this viewpoint kind of broadens how people understand her difficulties, not just those surface-level guesses. Honestly, the public fascination around celebrity deaths can also stir up narratives that are less than accurate about substances, and it can push compassion into the background. This feels especially true right now since official reports are still pending a more complete release. Even as details come in, the need for empathy stays important, and it shouldn't be treated like a later afterthought. In the end, the toxicology outcomes are only one small piece of a much bigger puzzle. They have to be matched with medical findings, mental health background, and the specific circumstances at the time to sketch a truthful picture of what actually happened. Even if unsettling information shows up, the aim is to arrive at clarity in a way that respects the full arc of Panettiere's story. As difficult as these questions are, looking beyond toxicology to those who knew her most closely offers another window into understanding the reality behind the headlines. Family and friends' perspectives. The voices of Hayden Panettiere's family and close friends have been central in shaping the narrative around her life and tragic passing. Those who shared her daily reality paint a portrait of a woman battling immense personal challenges while still striving for joy and connection. Their statements reflect a deep sense of grief, coupled with pride in her courage and resilience. Several loved ones have spoken about how Panettiere's mental health struggles were ongoing and complex. They emphasize that she fought hard to manage her condition and sought help multiple times. These accounts dismiss notions of a sudden crisis unanticipated by those closest to her, instead highlighting a long, often difficult journey. The role of her fiancé, in particular, has surfaced as especially poignant. Reports of him being present during her final moments illuminate the closeness and support in her life up until the end. His statements express heartbreak, but also a commitment to honoring her memory with truth and care, underscoring the intimacy of their shared experience. Friends recall Panettiere as generous, kind, and deeply talented, attributes sometimes overshadowed in media coverage by her struggles. They remember a woman who was much more than her diagnosis, a mother who prioritized her child's well-being despite all obstacles. This multi-dimensional view challenges simplistic depictions often found in public discourse. Statements from family members reveal their frustration with rumors and misinformation, calling for respectful acknowledgement of the facts and privacy. They emphasize that Panettiere's life cannot be reduced to tragic headlines. It deserves dignity and understanding. This plea highlights the human cost behind celebrity narratives. Some close associates have noted that while the emotional pain she endured was immense, Panettiere maintained a sense of humor and hope at various points. These recollections show the coexistence of vulnerability and strength, a reminder of the complexities within mental health struggles. Her efforts to stay connected with loved ones were a vital part of her story. The ongoing support and love from family and friends also illustrate the broader network that surrounded Panettiere in her final years. This circle's genuine care provides a contrast against the public eye's often harsh judgment, offering insight into the lived reality of her last days. It reminds us that every public figure is a person first. Their voices invite us to consider the tragedy not only from clinical or investigative standpoints, but from deeply personal perspectives. These narratives foster empathy and encourage a more holistic understanding of the forces that shaped her life and death. In exploring these intimate connections, we come closer to appreciating the full picture, one that blends medical facts with the enduring human story behind them. The path ahead lies in integrating all these aspects with the respect Hayden Panettiere deserves. Public and media response. The news about Hayden Panettiere's passing, and then the later release of grim autopsy details, kind of set off a broad wave of reactions from fans, media outlets, and regular people all over the world. Social platforms filled up fast with tributes, old memories, and sad comments, like everyone was trying to hold on to something she left behind. For a lot of supporters, it also felt personal, since her work reached them, and her advocacy wasn't just a side thing, it was real. Her willingness to talk about mental health struggles really resonated with many, and it made the overall grief feel even sharper and harder to ignore. The media attention, though, has been intense, and not in one single direction. You can see careful, respectful pieces about her life and achievements, and at the same time, there's more speculative reporting about how her passing happened. Some stations go for honoring her legacy, while others have leaned into controversy by tossing around unverified rumors or framing certain details in a more sensational kind of way. That push and pull shows the tough line people keep talking about, balancing public curiosity with sensitivity, plus accuracy at the same time. Among fans, there's this heavy sense of loss, but also a push for more awareness about mental health and the constant pressures that come with being in the spotlight. A bunch of people have shared their own stories, inspired by her courage, turning their grief into a kind of outreach for better mental health resources and stronger support networks. Those smaller grassroots conversations suggest there's a broader cultural change happening right now toward more openness and more kindness when it comes to difficult topics. Conversely, there's been some criticism about how certain media took on the story, with worries around privacy violations and how invasive coverage might end up hurting surviving family members and close friends. And it helped open up wider conversations about ethical journalism. and the press responsibility when reporting tragedies. Advocates are basically urging a shift toward a more respectful way of telling things, where the person is honored rather than turned into an opportunity to exploit their vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, public figures, colleagues, and other entertainers have offered heartfelt tributes too, pointing to Panettiere's talents, her resilience, and her generosity. Those voices create a strong counterweight to the loud headlines, reminding everyone that under all that scrutiny, there was a beloved human being. In a way, these acknowledgments have supported collective mourning and offered deeper understanding into who she truly was. The outpouring of love and support has also included moves aimed at raising awareness about the stigma tied to mental illness and how early intervention matters. Panettiere's life and death have become a kind of catalyst for renewed dialogue, and people are urging systems and communities to do more so those who struggle privately can actually get help. Her story has led to calls for changes in how society tackles mental health challenges. At the same time, the public reaction really does reveal that messy, complex intersection between fame, tragedy, and social media's influence. The rapid spread of information, both accurate and speculative, shows just how fast narratives can form and, somehow, evolve in the digital age. This dynamic can shape public perception too, and end up nudging the way we collectively understand sensitive issues, whether we realize it or not. The conversation sparked by Panettiere's death illustrates how celebrity tragedies can catalyze important cultural reflections. Her passing has reopened critical questions about the support networks that are available to entertainers, and honestly, the broader population as well. This moment kind of works as a reminder that behind each headline, there's a real human story, and it deserves both respect and careful engagement, not just quick takes. As the public keeps processing this loss, the community's response sets the stage for looking closer at industry pressures and personal stresses that can contribute to these tragedies. Those forces often remain unseen, but they're still essential if we want to understand what people in the spotlight really wrestle with. The spotlight on Panettiere's life invites us to consider the impact of the environment surrounding her and others like her. Industry pressures and challenges. Hayden Panettiere's career unfolded amid intense pressures common to those navigating the entertainment industry, where public scrutiny and high expectations often collide with personal vulnerability. From a young age, she was immersed in the demands of acting, fame, and media attention, realities that can exacerbate stress and complicate mental health management. The industry's relentless pace leaves little room for rest or reflection. Actors, especially women, frequently face added challenges related to body image, public perception, and the constant pressure to remain relevant. Panettiere's openness about her struggles was notable precisely because many feel compelled to mask difficulties behind a polished facade. This culture can foster isolation and make help harder to seek or accept. The entertainment world is also marked by irregular work schedules, frequent travel, and unpredictable job security, all of which compound emotional strain. These factors may disrupt routine medical care or therapy, interrupt medication schedules, and increase the risk of burnout. The industry's structural realities often create an environment where managing chronic conditions becomes an uphill battle. Moreover, the pervasive presence of social media adds another layer of stress, exposing performers to criticism and scrutiny at all hours. Negative commentary and invasive coverage can inflame anxiety and depression, sometimes intensifying existing conditions. Panettiere's experiences reflect the toll this digital oversight can take on mental well-being. Peers and mental health professionals have emphasized how stigma within the industry can discourage honest conversations about mental health. Fear of judgment or career repercussions leads many to hide struggles, avoid disclosing diagnoses, or refuse time off for treatment. This environment makes it difficult to build the supportive, understanding workplace culture many advocates call for. Panettiere's case also highlights issues around access to consistent, effective mental health care tailored to the unique stressors faced by those in entertainment. Coordinating care while balancing public demands and personal privacy is challenging but essential to long-term stability. The gaps in such support can have tragic consequences. The pressure to maintain a public image often forces individuals to compartmentalize their pain, an act that can delay recognition and intervention. Early signs of distress may be dismissed or hidden to preserve career opportunities or relationships within the industry. This dynamic can contribute to worsening symptoms before assistance is sought. Industry initiatives aimed at increasing mental health resources and peer support are gaining ground but remain uneven across different sectors. Panettiere's story adds urgency to calls for more comprehensive programs that prioritize well-being alongside professional success. Her life and passing underscore how critical these efforts are. In understanding the scope of pressures surrounding Panettiere, it becomes clear that addressing mental health in entertainment requires cultural change as much as medical intervention. Creating environments where those affected feel safe and supported is key to preventing future tragedies and honoring the legacy of those lost. The complexities of these challenges lead us to reflect on the enduring lessons her story imparts and the legacy she leaves behind. Lessons and legacy. Hayden Panettiere's life, and then that sudden passing, leaves this lasting echo that goes past her work as an actress and the way she was seen as a public figure. She was pretty open about mental health difficulties, and that honesty seems to have helped people notice the problem more. And it also cuts down some of the stigma, so others feel more comfortable to reach out and talk plainly about what's really going on inside. That part of her presence is still a big piece of how she will be remembered, kind of like it lingers. What stands out is that her story shows that balance thing, the kind that can feel fragile, especially when fame, constant attention, and public scrutiny start stacking up. In other words, being successful doesn't mean someone is safe from inner battles. It also reminds us that compassion matters, not as an idea, but as something you do when you try to understand people who are struggling quietly, sometimes right in plain sight. Her journey points toward the need for continuing conversation about mental wellness everywhere, not just in one corner of life. And the tragedy of her death brings up how crucial it is to have solid support in place. Real mental health care needs resources that are actually reachable, communities that listen with empathy, and spaces where people feel protected enough to be vulnerable. Panettiere's experience makes it pretty clear what can happen when those supports break down, or when they stay out of reach for too many people. Her legacy kind of challenges industries, families, and societies to do better about recognizing early warning signs, and then intervening with care instead of judgment. More education about mental health conditions like bipolar disorder could help create spaces that actually support recovery and build resilience, not so much isolation and despair. In that way, her life becomes this catalyst for change, kind of silently, but still there. And beyond mental health, Panettiere's story pushes for more open conversations about how the messy complexities of public life and private life can collide. Like, how do we honor someone who lives most of their days in the spotlight, while also respecting their need for privacy and healing too? That back and forth is uncomfortable, but it makes you pause and rethink how society shows up for public figures in general. Her example also brings it back to something simple. The human behind the headlines, a mother, friend, and artist whose life enriched so many people even with her struggles. If we celebrate her talents, her kindness, alongside those challenges, then you get a more complete and compassionate picture. It discourages the habit of turning people into only their hardships, and instead, it invites us to hold the whole story together more gently. Her life and her death also underline how necessary it is for all of us to listen closely, offer real support, and speak up for mental health with care and urgency. If we do that, we're honoring her memory, sure, but we're also honoring so many other people who are fighting similar battles in silence. Awareness plus action can really save lives, and it can reshape communities too. In the end, Hayden Panettiere's legacy is kind of a reminder to hold space for how complicated mental wellness can be, that compassion matters at every stage, and that resilience still has power even when things are hard. Her story continues to push for change, and it asks us to treat mental health with the seriousness and empathy it deserves. Her story is a powerful reminder of the importance of compassion and awareness around mental health struggles. As we reflect on Hayden Panettiere's life, let's honor her legacy by supporting those facing similar challenges. If you found this insight valuable, please like the video and subscribe for more thoughtful content. Thank you for watching.